And another cold cut, giving, of course, all honor and all glory to Yahweh. By Shema Mashiach Malak Yahushua. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Yahushua. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the men of the Lord who out there on the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, doing the work of the Most High, presenting their body as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there on the highways and byways, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent and abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Aquath out there, the sincere sisters out there, holding it down in the households, rapping to their husbands, being submissive, being diligent, and moving in the spirit of our righteous foremother. Shalom, shalom. This will be a quick cold cut. And you clearly see we're on our way headed to D.C. Right, we're on our way headed to Washington, D.C. for the Rally for Reparations event. It's a joint unity camp between HOI, the House of Israel, and ourselves, WFI. So if you're in the area, come out. If you're in the DMV area, if you're in the DC area, come out, right, and do the work of the Most High and support the ministry and magnify the name of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. I'm not going to be able to pull, 1,000 precepts, seeing that I'm driving, but I'll go in the spirit and do as best as I can, Lord willing. So in the event of this great awakening that you see happening on the earth, i.e. the Most High putting the spirit on these different celebrities, these different athletes, these different radio personalities, these different men of renown of the world, you also have something that comes with that. And this is something that we touched on as we were doing a live on the Cold Cuts channel before the Cold Cuts channel was even shut down. And we touched on how the so-called white man deals with subtlety. Like I tell you in Genesis chapter 3 and 1 on down, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. So when we're dealing with the serpent, we're dealing with subtlety, trickery, beguiling. And what the so-called white man is doing now, in the event that these Israelites are waking up, based off of the post that Kyrie Irving posted, Kanye West through his multiple interviews, now he's beginning to say that their synagogues throughout the country are at risk of being attacked. So just in Philly, New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken, which is home to almost 500,000 so-called Jews, they're saying now that there was a so-called terrorist attack that was a threat to the synagogues out there in New Jersey. Now, coincidentally, that just happens to be a threat around the same time of all of the Israelites coming back to the Most High and waking up to the Lord and keeping the law, statutes, and the commandments. And now this devil, all of a sudden, you have all of these random threats to these synagogues in the East Coast. Now, in Birmingham, Alabama, they also had a threat to a synagogue. And Salakia, the Lord said, be wise as a serpent. Right, Salakia, bear with me. Right, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua said, be wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. So we know that the servants of the Lord, the men that go on the highways and byways, we don't do physical violence or physical harm to the enemies of the Most High. We're at due time, when the Lord destroyed this place, we get beamed up in the chariots, we get put back in the wilderness, then we're going to wreak havoc on the heathen. So Psalm chapter 137 and 7 through 8, Psalm chapter 145, 9 through 8, Jeremiah chapter 16 and 16, Isaiah 14, 21, Zechariah chapter 9, 13 on down, Zechariah chapter 10 and 5 on down. So yeah, we will wreak havoc on the heathen, right? These days are coming when you're going to actually enslave them, destroy them, burn their idols. When you read Micah the 5th chapter, 15 on down, or 15, and the Lord said he will execute vengeance and fury upon his heathen, such as they have not heard. So yeah, we do agree that violence will be done to the heathen in time to come, but not in this lot right now, not in this life, not as long as America exists, man. By the servants of the Most High, because the Lord is going to destroy this place. Remember, the Most High said in Romans chapter 9, 18 on down, he said, or 17 on down, he said, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. So if anybody's going to get credit for destroying the people of the earth and this life in America, and destroying New York City and DC and all of these different famous cities of renown, it's going to be the Most High. Now, what these heathen try to do is they try to paint the narrative that the men that are out on the highways and byways are a violent extremist group. So they went from black identity extremists. Now there's another term they call us. I have to get the exact terminology, but they labeled us from black identity extremists unto violent extremists or something, domestic violent extremists, something along those lines. So what they're trying to do is try to tie us in into these different attacks that they may do. Rather, they have a guy under CIA mind control, MK Ultra, witchcraft, an agent, a false brethren unawares, and they're going to try to tie in all of the servants of the Most High and the work that we do into the devices that they do. You know, so this is the Lord said in Proverbs chapter 22 and 3 on down, a prudent man looketh well to his going, paraphrasing, and hideth himself. He foreseeth the evil. So we foresee the evil that the so-called white man's going to do. Right? We know his tactics. We know he's heavy into false flags. He's heavy into propaganda. He's heavy into influencing the citizens and making them come on one accord. Right? We know what his tactics are. There are too many people waking up to the Most High. Too many people I see now, they're clicking that Hebrews to Negroes link. Esau now, he made that video. That movie is $50 now. $50. I believe it went from like $20. I could be wrong, but it was around $15, $20. Now it's $50. Why is the so-called white man changing the price on the book and the movie, man? $50. Now I could be wrong, but I'm led to believe that they're going to increase it from $50 to like damn $200. If Amalek get that word out and say, look, we want y'all to raise that price up, they're going to do it, man. That goes back to the classic. Everybody, we know Psalms chapter 83, right? 83 and 3 on down. They have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. They have said, come and let us cut them off for being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So there's still, Psalm 83 is not just talking about the United Nations. It's not just talking about these G summits, right? It's speaking about even to this day, even that prophecy or that scripture is relevant to this day. These nations are still trying to cut us off from being a nation, right? Saying hate speech, damn anti-Semitism, all manner of confusion and madness to try to cut us off from being a nation. But like the Lord said in 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and 8, for we can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth. Right? Even Yahushua told the apostle Peter and the rest of the apostles in Matthew chapter 16, 18 on down, that thou art Simon Peter, and upon this rock will I build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against thee. So the gates of hell are speaking about any type of principality, any enemy, adversity, individual, spirit. It will not prevail against the word of God. So the word is going out in the last days, and no matter what these devils try to do, they try to get Jake to apologize in front of all of their so-called slaves. You know, they try to get you to take it on the chin and denounce and devour what you believe in. One thing about the Israelites is the men that are in this thing, we're not devouring a damn thing, man. Right? We don't care what you take away from us, man. Our house. And the Lord said these things are going to happen, man. You know? Even when you read Tobit, the first chapter, when Tobit was committing a crime worthy of death, what they called a crime, which is really the law. Tobit was burying the Israelites that Sennacherib was killing during the time of the Assyrian Empire. And Tobit didn't give a damn. Tobit was burying the people, and Tobit had all of his faith here. Right? And a lot of they were so they're trying to threaten you monetarily and financially, and threaten and making you, be ostracized and put your enemy against you, all to try to stop the word of the Most High from going up. All to stop the word of the Most High from going up. We know in the book of Acts, chapter 5 and 39 on down, it says, but if it be the Most High, ye cannot overthrow it, lest it be found happily even to fight against God. And that's what they're doing. They're fighting against Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. The worldly term says your arms are too short to box against God. You're not going to stop this great awakening, man. The Lord said, hurt not the earth, nor the sea, nor the tree, in Revelation chapter 7 and 1 on down, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. So the servants of the Most High are going to be sealed. They're going to be sealed. Now, this before camp warning is pertaining to more so of a false flag. Now, I don't have any, don't say, well, what's the inside information? Where's it going to be? But we don't know. This is a study of the so-called white man and what he likes to do. And what he likes to do. Right? And what he gets off on. The so-called white man gets off on spinning a narrative. Right? We know what happened at 9/11. Where they said that the so-called Ishmaelites, they had weapons of mass destruction. That was a false flag. Right? That was a false flag attack. They deliberately that was a demolition exercise. A demolition exercise where they destroyed those buildings internally, galvanized the American citizens and the public to have a common goal and a common interest. So they wouldn't have any pushback when it came to invading Iraq in 2003. So false flags do two things. False flags, Moab, right? So false flags do two things. One, really, they do multiple things, but these are the main three things they do. Right? Boy, man. The main thing they do is they galvanize the citizens and the public, meaning they stir them up. They stir up their emotions. They stir them up to have an enemy. They stir them up to have a common goal. They stir them up to have a common interest. That's what they do, man. Now, what they're doing is they're trying to paint the narrative to the American public that anybody who's identifies as a Jew, that's a so-called black person, they're anti-Semitic. And now they're having these threats. So they're slowly working witchcraft. So they're slowly now saying, look, that they're threatening the synagogues in New Jersey. The same people who allegedly are calling themselves the Jews, who are anti-Semitic, now they're threatening the synagogues in New Jersey and threatening the synagogues in Alabama and even around the country. So don't be surprised if these devils do some type of false flag attack and something happens. Because they already did that in New Jersey not too long ago. Right? They said that this guy came up and he shot up a deli. I believe they said he had fringes on. Then they said a guy came and stabbed somebody at a Hanukkah event. So don't be surprised if these devils do that, man. If they actually do something to the Amalekites. And they paint the picture and say that the Hebrew Israelites did it, man. You know? Because they have to stop this ministry. That's their goal. to stop the word of the Most High. And they're going to pull out all stops to be able to get the word of the Most High from being shut down, man. You know, that's what these devils plan on doing. So again, don't be surprised if you wake up and see on the so-called news that Amalek has been attacked, that one of their buildings have been attacked, one of their rabbis, and then they also show a video of an Israelite then with fringes on, man, leaving the scene. Or with some type of manifesto. That's what these devils like to do too, man. Every time there's some type of mass shootings or some type of major event that they plan, they always have a manifesto. Like a hidden diary showing that they would actually do this thing, man. And that they've been bullied, that they've always never had a fair shake, and they want to take their anger out. That's what these devils do. You know? Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and 15 says, that which has been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and God requireth that which is past. So things that have happened in time past are going to happen again. And these are things that they have done. Like we brought out Nero. Nero was the emperor of Rome. He did the same thing. Right? Nero wanted to build himself a palace and take over a particular part of Rome, but he didn't really have the say-so to do so or the green light. So he ended up starting a fire and burning down the third part of Rome. That's what Nero did. He burnt down the third part of Rome himself. And he blamed it on the Israelites, man. Now when you look it up historically, it says that the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch. So in Antioch, the term of Christian began to be a label put on the Israelites. So when they blamed the Christians, they blamed the men that were taught by the disciples. They blamed the Apostle Paul, they blamed the servants of the Lord, and they blamed these men for burning down Rome, when in fact the Roman Empire, they burnt down their own city just to go against, have a reason to persecute the Israelites. So, I mean, nothing new is under the sun. Do you think that the so-called white man is going to continually allow the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American man to wake up and come back to the Most High? This is essentially a slave rebellion. But it's bigger than Nat Turner. It's bigger than Gabriel Prosser, Toussaint. It's bigger than Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, right? This is essentially a spiritual slave rebellion. And we know what the so-called white man does during the slave rebellion, right? We know what he does. We've seen the history. We've watched the documentaries. We read the books. This right now is the biggest in the history of the children of Israel, outside of the Exodus. The biggest slave rebellion happened. And it's not, you may say, well, I don't see nobody buying passports. I don't see anybody leaving the country. I don't see anybody going to Ghana or South Africa or Ethiopia. Right, because it's not a physical slave rebellion right now. This is a mental and spiritual slave rebellion, where you have a great influx, millions. Kyrie Irving has millions of followers. From the average upcoming Jake who wants to endeavor to make it to the NBA, to the average Edomite who's sits courtside at the Nets games, man. You have many people that follow this guy. And how much more Kanye West? He's well, so-called, was a billionaire, you know? Everybody knows these men. And that's the spirit, because you're watching the more people speak out about it, man. More people, more celebrities, more athletes. And even, like they say in the world, they say any publicity is good publicity. That's the saying in the world. Any publicity is good publicity. Salaki. Meaning what? You got men like Michael Rappaport, you have rabbis, you have news anchors, Skip Bayless. They're even talking about it. So even if you mention it in a negative sense, you're going to stir people to look it up. Any publicity, especially when it comes to the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, it's good publicity. Even the Apostle Paul said in Philippians, the first chapter, he said, and I'm paraphrasing it, I'm driving, he said that many of the brethren are waxing strong by my bonds. So when Paul got locked up and when Paul was catching hell, that actually stirred up the spirit for more people to speak out. And you see that happening, right? As you see Israel being persecuted and Israel being damn ostracized and ridiculed publicly, the so-called white man, he knows, and some of them may not know, that does more damage than good. You're better off not even speaking about it and giving it any attention. That was the best thing Esau could have done, but he's a fool. The best thing he could have done was not even give it any attention. Because now you gave it all this attention, now you're causing a whole bunch of people to look it up, man. People are looking up fringes, they're growing their beards out, they're watching the videos. I saw this one Eve from God knows where, she's like this famous actress. She posted on Instagram, now I'm gonna finally see what this whole video is about. And she had the video plan. People are, I'm gonna click the video. You know? And ultimately, it's the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Right? Because the Lord said in the book of Romans, chapter 10, 17 on down, that the word was sent out to the ends of the world. Right? In the book of Romans. You know, so the word is gonna go out regardless. So this is a rebellion. A slave rebellion. A rebellion against religion. A rebellion against philosophy. A rebellion against rhetoric, Christianity, white supremacy, mental slavery. And these devils, they're going to crack down. They're only going to let this thing go on for so long. They're only going to let this thing go on for so long. Even when you read the book of Daniel, the 9th chapter, the 27th verse, it says that he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the oblation and the sacrifice to cease. Even for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate, paraphrasing. Meaning what? In these days, the so-called white man's going to stop the sacrifice, the oblation, the offering, the law, the word, the prayers, the teaching. All of that is going to be shut down in the temple. Now, the temple is not necessarily a physical building. The altar, prophetically, is not necessarily a physical altar. The body that we do the work in is the body of Yahushua. Did not Yahushua say in John chapter 2 and 19 on down, destroy this temple and in 3 days I will raise it up again? And they said 46 years was this temple and building, and what thou rear it up in 3 days. And he said he spake of the temple of his body. You know, don't be surprised if they try to target a particular Hebrew Israelite, right? Maybe it's a congregation, maybe it's a leader, maybe it's a celebrity, maybe they take a guy off the streets, man. Pay him a couple dollars, put some fringes on him, and tell him, look, I need you to do this thing, man. I need you to blow up this building. I need you to go into this synagogue. I need you to do this. And maybe pay him, you know, $2 million, blank check. Give them the bag, you know? Don't be surprised if these devils move like that, right? Because there has to be a catalyst. There has to be some great provocation on why they stopped the ministry, why they stopped the servants of the Lord from doing the work. Now remember, when you read the book of Maccabees, chiefly First Maccabees, the first chapter, 40 on down, does it not say that King Antiochus wrote unto his whole kingdom that all should be one people? It says, yea, and all of the heathen consented to his religion. You know? It says, yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion. And then they came to Mattathias, because Mattathias was a priest. And he had his sons, Simon, Jonathan, Judas, I believe Eleazar. He had his different sons. And they tried to get him to sell out, man. Look, to offer this swine's flesh, they literally came to the top men. That's what Esau do. They go to your top men and they get them to sell out. Look at Shaq. Look at Charles Barkley. Look at these different guys they got to sell out. Kyrie Irving, they forced his hand at an apology. Because if they get these guys to it goes back to slavery, buck breaking, roots, public lynching, whip you until you confess, whip you until you denounce, suspend you until you denounce, ridicule you until you denounce, vex you with the media until you denounce, take away your children until you denounce. So in the book of Maccabees, Mattathias didn't denounce the word of the Most High. He said, God forbid that we should forsake the religion of our fathers. You know? He ended up killing that guy who tried to get them to sell out. And he slew the coon. Not only did he kill the ambassador of Antiochus, Epiphanes IV, but he also killed the coon in his zeal. You know? So you gotta understand that these devils will try to get you to sell out, huh? And Mattathias led a slave rebellion. And the so-called white men don't want to talk about that. That's one of the most successful slave rebellions, led by Mattathias. All top slave rebellions, for the most part, were led by Levites. Moses and Aaron, right? And the 70 elders, they rebelled against Pharaoh through the hand of God. In Haiti, they rebelled against Napoleon. Those are Levites. Mattathias and the Maccabees, those are Levites. You know? And we bring that out to say that this is just a slave rebellion. Another slave rebellion, and the people rebelling against religion of the world, rebelling against white supremacy and philosophies and doctrines. You know? The Lord said in the book of 1 Timothy chapter 4 and 1 on down, that in the latter times, many shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. You know, so the men of the Lord, they're not giving heed to that, huh? They're holding it 10 toes down. They're keeping the commandments. They're standing the faith. They're being fervent. And, you know, the whole point again is if these devils do a false flag, things are going to speed up. Things are going to speed up. Revelation 12 and 17 has to happen. 2nd Ezra chapter 16, 66 through 75 has to happen. Jeremiah chapter 36 through 8 has to happen. Right? These things must happen. Daniel chapter 12 and 1 on down. That must happen. Isaiah 59 and 19. That must happen. Psalms 18. That must happen. These prophecies must happen. And the Most High is going to put the spirit in these Edomites to start cracking down, man. So it's important for us to stay vigilant, stay circumspect, and I'll say this, Jake, don't force the hand of the Lord, man. The Lord said, stir not up nor awake my love till he please. Don't go physically start attacking Esau and zeal. Remember, your zeal can lead to your destruction. You can have righteous zeal, you can have wicked zeal. You go, King Saul, when you read 2 Samuel, it says that he slew the Gibeonites in his zeal. And he wasn't commanded to kill the Gibeonites. But he did that out of nationalism and for his country and for his people. But it was off. And the Lord did not condone that. So you have to know how to be temperate in your zeal. You know? Even the sons of Aaron, they lit strange fire unto the Lord. Now we light fire to the Lord when we do the work of the Most High. When we teach repentance, when we pray, when we fast. Or you can light strange fire unto the Lord. And the Lord slew the sons of Aaron for lighting strange fire. So have temperance in your zeal. Don't be going out attacking Amalek and, you know, well, I'm going to get my weapons and do God knows what. Try to force the hand of the Lord. And the Lord said, wait on the Lord, and he shall save thee. You know? That's in the book of Isaiah chapter 30. Zechariah chapter 3, 5 through 8. So we're going to wait on the hand of the Most High. We're going to keep teaching the people. We're going to keep doing the work of the Most High. Hey, soldiers don't move without the general. Last time I checked, that's Warfare 101. Soldiers do not move. They do not attack. They do not kill. They do not retreat. They don't do anything unless and the third chapter tell you about the king and his army. You know? So we waiting on Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, man. So he give the green light to his sword in our hand. And then we're going to wreak havoc on Amalek. Then we're going to blot out their name, and we're going to do what Saul didn't do. When the Lord told Saul, go and smite Amalek, and he forbear and took the king captive and saved the beast alive, Samuel said, what is the bleating of sheep that I hear in my ears? Paraphrasing. Because Saul didn't do the job right. And guess what, man? If we make it out of here through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, we're going to do what Saul didn't do. And we're going to smite Amalek and blot his name out from under heaven. And fulfill the prophecy of Exodus chapter 17, 16 on down. Numbers chapter 24, 16 on down. You know, Obadiah 1 and 18. And his name is going to be blotted out from under heaven. You know, so Esau, he's going to try to provoke you to do a false flag, which like he provoke you to do things against the scriptures. You're going to have more demons out there at camp, more agent provocateurs. We got an agent provocateur that comes out to the harbor, man. This Edomite who's in the wheelchair, but he gets about the wheelchair and scoffs. And tries to tempt the servants of the Lord, man, to do things contrary to the scriptures. So again, especially you brothers at camp, these Amalekites, they're working hard to provoke the servants of the Lord. They're doing anything to get you out the spirit that they can have a reason to shut down the ministry. They have false flags planned, agent provocateur. That's me. I don't believe that there was an actual threat to the synagogues. I don't believe that there was an actual man who said they were going to do something. I believe that these devils are just doing that to continually paint the narrative and build up a false report. So when they do crack down against the Israelites, they add that to your charges. And they add that to your so-called crimes. Like I said, in Birmingham, Alabama, they said they found a package. It could be a bomb outside of a synagogue in Birmingham, Alabama, man. You know? So don't be surprised if you see more and more threats of so-called anti-Semitism, or more and more threats to the servants of the Lord. It's important to stay vigilant and stay circumspect in these last days. And with that, I'm going to close up, giving, of course, our honor and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. A few quick announcements. If you are in D.C., Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, West Virginia, PA, we're doing a unity camp with HOI, Priest Sabak, and the rest of the mighty men of HOI. And it is a unity camp for the Rally of Reparations. Right? You're going to have those men of the world there. I believe Tariq Nasheed, Rizza Islam, a lot of those men of the world. I'm not sure if they're actually going to be there, but you know, men that follow them, a lot of people, but of our people looking for answers, they're going to be there. So if you're out in D.C., Maryland, Virginia, come out. We'll be at Freedom Plaza around 11 a.m. Another quick announcement. On Thursday, November 10th, we'll be in New York City, Lord willing, at the world's largest anti-Semitism and hate speech summit at Javits Center around 12 p.m. Standing up in unison and solidarity against the wicked and against the Mosai's chief enemy. And also, that Friday, November 11th and November 12th, we have the WFI Rhode Island Ground